We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, on a visit to United Kingdom, says India has leadership, vision and good governance. Stage is set in San Francisco for the APEC summit that President Joe Biden will host this week. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal to take part in this event. 5 U.S. Special Operation troops killed when their helicopter crashes into Mediterranean Sea during a training mission. 18th edition of the Dubai Air Show, titled The Future of the Aerospace Industry, set to take place today. Indian airspace contingent consisting of light combat aircraft, Tejas and advanced light helicopter proved to take part in this air show. India's middle order thrilled spectators at Bengaluru against the Netherlands. Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul hit centuries. Moving on to details now, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said that India is the fastest growing large economy today, noting that there is leadership, vision and good governance. Jaishankar said this during an interaction with Indian community in London. The minister also praised the contributions of the community in raising India's profile around the world. The minister, who is on a 5-day visit to UK, celebrated Diwali by offering prayers at the BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir in London on Sunday.
So, I want to assure you, things are going very well at home. You can see that in the manner in which we had a very, very successful G20 presidency in very difficult circumstances. The world did not believe that we could get everybody together. And it took a Prime Minister like Narendra Modi to do that. Similarly, we have come through a very difficult period like the entire world has on COVID. But India is today the fastest growing large economy, and there is a very good reason. It is growing because today there is leadership, there is vision, there is good governance.
Also during his visit to the UK, Dr. S. Jaishankar met Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in London on Sunday and conveyed the best wishes of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Diwali. Jaishankar is in the United Kingdom on an official trip to review various aspects of bilateral ties and to hold meetings with his counterpart, UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly, and several other dignitaries. Well, amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, the Israel Defense Forces have said that their troops delivered 300 litres of fuel to the Shifa hospital for urgent medical purposes. A video released by the Israeli military on Sunday showed soldiers moving towards a building while holding gallon containers, saying they had offered fuel to the Shifa hospital in the Gaza Strip. And 5 U.S. Special Operating Troops were killed when their helicopter crashed into the Mediterranean Sea during a training mission. Search and rescue operations were launched immediately following the crash, and an investigation into its cause is underway. The troops aboard the helicopter were U.S. Army Special Operation personnel. The United States has deployed 2 aircraft carriers, the Ford and the Iron Shower, along with supporting ships and dozens of aircraft to the eastern Mediterranean. President Joe Biden and U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin expressed condolences in a statement. Moving on, Sri Lanka's President Ranil Wickremesinghe, as Finance Minister, will present the budget for 2024 tomorrow. The budget will be crucial for the island nation as the public expectations revolve around reduced taxes, increase in wages and lower prices while keeping the budget deficit under check. The President has said the budget will be full of surprises and a section of the island hope for populist reforms, considering that this is a pre-election budget. At the same time, the State Minister of Finance, Ranjit Siambalapitia, has promised higher wages to public servants and relief measures for the poor. The measures under taxes are also being expected to ease. And a portion of a tunnel under construction between Sikiara and Dandalgaon on Brahmakal-Yamunotri highway in Uttarkashi district collapsed, trapping around 40 workers. Rescue operations are underway to free them. The incident took place around 4 a.m. on November 12th when a 150-meter-long portion of the 4.5-kilometer-long tunnel collapsed. Oxygen is being pumped into the tunnel to ensure their safety, and oxygen is being pumped through a water pipe. Well, King Charles and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak led Britain in remembering the country's war dead, seeking to unify communities a day after a large march was marked by skirmishes between far-right counter-protesters and the police. King Charles led thousands of veterans, senior politicians and members of the public in a service commemorating British military service people who died in the world wars. They held a 2-minute silence and then laid wreaths to honour those killed in the war. On November 11th, the annual Armistice Day commemoration saw more than 300,000 demonstrators march through central London, with police arresting more than 120 people as they sought to stop far-right counter-protesters from ambushing the main rally. And India's capital city of New Delhi is all set to host the biggest ever international trade fair at the newly redeveloped Pragati Maidan complex. Thousands of participants from several countries are likely to visit Delhi for the mega event. Take a look at this report by DD India correspondent Debyendu Mundal.
After the successful completion of the G20 summit in September this year, Delhi is once again gearing up to host another mega event at the newly redeveloped Pragati Maidan complex. This time, Delhi is all set to host the biggest ever 42nd edition of the India International Trade Fair. The theme, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, United by Trade. Countries from across the world will gather at the national capital to participate at this mega international event. Women entrepreneurs from the SAARC countries will be a key focus of this year's trade fair. SAARC countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Maldives, Nepal and Bhutan will also set up pavilions to showcase their best products and businesses to the world. Other countries like Turkey, Qatar, Bahrain will also be major participants at the International Trade Fair. The mega event is scheduled to be held between the 14th and the 27th of November this year. More than 1 million people are expected to visit this international trade fair this year. Spread over 1 lakh square meters, the 14 halls of the Swanky Pragati Maidan complex will showcase businesses and innovations from across the world. At home, states like Bihar, Jharkhand and Kerala will be the partner states for this edition of the International Trade Fair, while states like Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir and Maharashtra will be the focus states. Not only this, visitors and participants will also have an experience of cuisines from across 30 states of India at the mega open food zone at the trade fair. This mega 13-day event in the national capital has already started creating a buzz amongst the business communities from across the world. And the event will further enhance India's image at the world stage. Debyendu Mondal's report for DD India.
Well, now let's take a look at other stories making news today. People of 7 villages in the Erode district of South Indian state of Tamil Nadu celebrated Diwali without bursting firecrackers to protect the avian population at the nearby bird sanctuary located just 10 kilometers from the region. During the breeding season from October to January, the sanctuary becomes a haven for thousands of local and migratory birds that arrive to lay and hatch their eggs. Udaipur city in Indian state of Rajasthan brightens up on Diwali as buildings and streets get illuminated with colourful lights. People also decorated their homes and offices with colourful lights to mark the celebrations of the festival of light. Chief of Naval Staff of Indian Admiral R. Hari Kumar visited forward-deployed Marcos and BSF troops, acknowledging their presence and sustained operations in vital locations. He appreciated their commitment and professionalism. He also greeted them on the festive occasion of Diwali. India will host the 33rd Conference of World Organization for Animal Health Regional Commission for Asia and Pacific in New Delhi on the 13th of November. The delegates from 36 member countries, including India, will participate in the conference. And the third week-long round of negotiations to hammer out a global plastics treaty kicked off today in Nairobi, Kenya, after a preparatory meeting on Saturday as the United Nations Environment Programme seeks to develop a legally binding instrument regulating plastic pollution worldwide. Officials are bracing for tough negotiations over whether to limit the amount of plastic being produced or just to focus on the management of waste. Among the issues to be discussed in the session from today to November 19th are the principles and scope of the instrument, institutional arrangements, and possible final provisions. Well, Mount Etna in Italy erupted, sending lava and ash high above the Mediterranean island of Sicily. According to Italy's ANSA news agency, a large plume of ash stream surged into the sky above Sicily from the southeast crater of Europe's tallest and most active volcano. Despite the volcanic activity and ash fall, it said the nearby Catania airport remained open for the time being. Also, Icelandic authorities are preparing for a volcanic eruption in the southwest of the island due to a series of earthquakes and evidence of magma spreading underground. The Icelandic Meteorological Office warns of a considerable risk due to the size and rate of the underground magma intrusion. The Civil Protection Agency has ordered the evacuation of Grindavik, a fishing town with around 3,000 residents. Moving on, the United States conducted airstrikes against 2 Iran-linked sites in eastern Syria in response to attacks against American forces in Syria and in Iraq. The response from U.S. forces marked the third time in recent weeks that they carried out strikes against facilities used by Iranian proxies. In a statement, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the strikes targeted a training facility near the city of Al-Bukamal and a safe house near the city of Mayadeen. The U.S. military conducted airstrikes against a weapons storage facility and an ammunition storage area in Syria on October 26th and conducted subsequent airstrikes against a weapons storage facility on the 8th of November. Well, still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Thousands of people protested across Spain against acting Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's plans. We tell you why ahead. Thick layer of smog engulfs capital of India, Delhi, a day after Diwali. Unveiling the future of aerospace, 18th edition of Dubai Air Show kickstarts today.
Always welcoming. The vibe of Punjab is larger than life. Warm up to grandeur that's beyond compare. And history that's dotted with tales of bravery. Smiling soul of India, where music, art, cuisine and culture comes together to create an unforgettable impression. Punjab is all set to win your hearts with its unique and colorful extravaganza.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on. The stage is set in San Francisco for the biggest international event the city has hosted since 1945. Leaders from across the Asia Pacific are flying in for the APEC summit that President Joe Biden will host this week. On the agenda, America's efforts to deepen its ties in the Indo-Pacific and to confront China's expansionist aspirations there. On Wednesday, President Biden will come face-to-face with Chinese President Xi Jinping for the first time in a year, and that meeting, announced only last Friday, is now expected to overshadow the rest of the summit. DD India's Simon Marks is at the summit site in San Francisco.
India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal will represent Prime Minister Narendra Modi at this year's APEC summit here in San Francisco, the first APEC summit to be held on American soil since 2011. The agenda is absolutely vast, and over the course of the last few hours here in San Francisco, fresh pressure has been applied on both President Biden, the host of the summit, and Chinese President Xi Jinping ahead of their meeting face-to-face on the sidelines of this event on Wednesday. It took fully a year for Washington and Beijing to negotiate even the possibility of a face-to-face meeting between the two men. So tense has the bilateral relationship between Washington and Beijing been, especially in the months since the United States shot down that Chinese surveillance balloon flying in American airspace. On Wednesday, it comes at a time, of course, when President Biden will be traveling to this APEC summit to reinforce the notion that the United States sees itself as a Pacific power and is absolutely determined to deepen its partnership with its partners across the Indo-Pacific in a bid to try and counter China's expansionist tendencies. Other issues where there may be difficulties making headway include the crisis underway in the Gaza Strip. There is disagreement among many of the countries attending this APEC summit over precisely who is to blame for the intensifying crisis in the Middle East. Many of APEC's 21 member states want the United States to liberalize its approach to trade, to allow market access, even perhaps to agree to begin the negotiation of free trade agreements. The Biden administration does not appear to be coming to this summit with that kind of an approach in mind. 78 years ago has San Francisco seen an international gathering like this. The city has cleaned up in the immediate vicinity around the Moscone Center where this summit is being held. Big stakes here, a big event, and of course enormous outcomes banking on it that will come out of this conference for nations throughout the Indo-Pacific. Simon Marks for DD India at the APEC summit in San Francisco.
Well, tens of thousands of people protested across Spain against acting Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's plan to offer amnesty to Catalan separatists in a bid to win enough support for another term in office. The government secured a deal with Catalan separatist party Junts, which includes passing a contentious law granting amnesty to those convicted over Catalonia's attempt to secede from Spain in 2017. Sanchez's conservative opponents have accused him of putting the rule of law on the line of his own political gain. The People's Party had called for protest in the capitals of all Spain's regions. In Madrid, some 80,000 people turned out. And now let's take a news from around the world. Chilean breast cancer survivors participated in a traditional Chinese dragon boat race for rehab and community ties. Over 130 women participated in 200-meter regattas at Santiago's Karen Lake Park. The race, organized by Fortail Senos, Chile, with Chinese embassy support, aimed to promote upper limb motion and prevent lymphedema, a common side effect of breast cancer. Dragon boat racing is a popular tradition in Asia. The Red Bull Crazy Cars competition returned to Argentina for the first time in 10 years, with over 30,000 spectators and 30 teams. The event featured over 30 carts, including wine barrels, toilets and Argentine stew. The winner, a vintage ambulance cart, completed the circuit in less than a minute. A UN-backed talks to limit global plastic pollution are set to take place in Nairobi from 13th to 19th of November 2023. Research shows that plastics entering the oceans have increased significantly since 2005 and could nearly triple by 2040 if no action is taken. The Five Guys Institute predicts that marine plastic pollution could rise 2.6 times by 2040 without legally binding global policies. Microplastics are particularly hazardous to the oceans, contaminating water and damaging marine animals' internal organs. Well, a thick layer of smog engulfed the capital of India, Delhi, after people burst crackers on Diwali night, leading to heavy pollution all across the city. The city is already battling with its deteriorating air quality because of farm fires in the surrounding region. The visibility also reduced to a few meters. The city's air quality is in poor category, with AQI standing at 248 on Monday morning. It is now very likely that the city will once again witness a rise in pollution levels, making it difficult for the people inside the city to breathe. Kali Puja or Shama Puja, the second largest festival after Durga Puja of the Bengali Hindi community, is being celebrated across Bangladesh on Sunday. In this festival, members of Hindu community light earthen lamps at their houses, temples and crematoriums in memory of their departed elderly persons. Kali Puja is also known as Deepavali or Diwali. In Dhaka, the Shama Puja is being celebrated at Dhakeshwari National Temple, Siddheshwari Kali Temple, Ramna Kali Mandir and other temples amid due religious fervour and enthusiasm. And the city of Dubai transformed into a vibrant sea of colours as the Festival of Lights Diwali lit up the skies of Dubai, bringing an Indian vibe to the city's skyline. The air was filled with excitement as the night sky became a canvas for dazzling fireworks, adding an extra layer of magic to the celebrations. Families gathered at parks and public spaces as the explosive display painted intricate patterns against the backdrop of the city's iconic structures. The crackling of fireworks intertwined with the beats of traditional drums, creating a symphony that echoed the unity of diverse cultures coming together. Also, the 18th edition of the Dubai Air Show, titled The Future of the Aerospace Industry, is set to take place on November 13th at Dubai World Central. The event, which is the largest to date, will host over 1,400 exhibitors from 95 countries. The event will feature over 180 commercial aircraft, including Airbus A320 P2F, A321neo, A330neo, A400M Atlas CMK-1, H225 and C295. The event will also feature the latest electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, drones and UAVs. The event will also feature the UAE Space Agency's latest initiatives and advancements in sustainable aviation fuel and cleaner aviation technology. And the Indian Air Force is set to participate in the Dubai Air Show also from November 13 to 17, 2023. The IAF contingent, including the light combat aircraft Tejas and the advanced light helicopter Dhruv, will showcase their static and aerial displays. The IAF will return for the second appearance after the 2021 edition and will perform at the opening ceremony on the 13th of November. The participation also highlights India's aviation progress, featuring indigenous platforms like the Tejas and Dhruv. And in sports, in cricket, India defeated Netherlands at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru in their last league match. Chasing a mammoth 411-run target, the Dutch batsmen could only manage to reach 250 runs in 47.5 overs. For Netherlands, Teja Nidamanuru scored 54 runs, while Sibrand Engelbrecht scored 45 runs. Earlier, opting to bat first, India were at a great start, with Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill smashing high centuries. Kohli followed with a 51-run knock. Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul then stitched a 208-run partnership for the fourth wicket, taking the men in blue to the 410 runs for the loss of 4 wickets, which is their highest total in this edition of World Cup. Shreyas Iyer smashed an unbeaten 128, while KL Rahul scored 102. For Netherlands, Basti Lede took 2 wickets. Well, a decade ago, Kabaddi was virtually unknown in Tanzania, but the sport is now enjoying unprecedented growth in the country. Established with the support of the Indian Embassy there, the nation's Kabaddi Association is working hard to grow the sport. DD India's Isaac Lucando has more on the sport's development.
A weekly practice session for members of the Buffalo Kabaddi Club in Dar es Salaam. The club is one of several in the country that are spearheading the growth of the game of Kabaddi.
In 2013, when we started, the game's reception was very poor. We mostly used players from other sports, since I also teach assorted games. But as days go on, the situation has improved. We now have a large program. All the national team players, for example, come from our school program.
In 2021, Tanzania hosted the Africa Kabaddi Championship tournament for the first time, where the national team were runners-up behind winners Egypt. Zuena Hassan, who took part in the women's team, says the main challenge to the game's growth is competition from mainstream sports.
Kabaddi is not like football. Football has lots of aspects to it, while Kabaddi is not as complicated. With sponsors investing and good players like us representing the country, we can go far through Kabaddi.
The growth of Kabaddi in Tanzania lends itself to support from the Indian government, which now includes the services of 2 coaches who are currently helping to train players. So far, 2 players from Tanzania have already featured in the Indo-International Premier Kabaddi League. Compared to other games, Kabaddi doesn't require a lot of resources to play. For instance, in terms of space, a 10 by 13 meter ground suffices, which means it can be played almost anywhere. This and a host of other factors have convinced the leadership of the Tanzanian Kabaddi Association that the game could scale up its presence in the country. Coaches from India say apart from a language barrier, they seem to be making progress in the country.
We are going for training for coaches and officials, as well as we are doing training for players also. So in all aspects we are trying to do the work so that in the future they can come up as a good team.
The Tanzanian Kabaddi Association has lofty dreams of becoming African champions and possibly dominating at the global competition in India next year. But for now, the country's players continue to train, hoping that one day Kabaddi will take a seat among mainstream sports in Tanzania. Isaac Lucando in Dar es Salaam, reporting for DD India.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Well, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.
A platform for the developing world, amplifying the voice of the global